80 miles north of Las Vegas, the vast Nevada desert flattens into a barren expanse of white salt. While popular stories about this dry lake bed involve crashed flying saucers and captured aliens, the documented history involves a different kind of secrecy. This is Groom Lake, an isolated strip of the Nevada Test and Training Range. In the public imagination, it is a center for extraterrestrial conspiracy, but the United States Air Force officially identifies the facility as Homey Airport. In 1955, Cold War tensions with the Soviet Union created an urgent demand for intelligence. Washington feared a bomber gap, a perceived Soviet lead in striking power, and required a surveillance platform that could overfly enemy territory without being shot down. Richard Bissell of the CIA and Lockheed engineer Kelly Johnson spearheaded Project Aquatone to develop the U-2 spy plane. They flew over the Nevada desert in a small Beechcraft, searching for a location where the aircraft could be tested without public or foreign observation. They selected Groom Lake for its natural, hard-packed salt flat, which functioned as a perfect, ready-made runway. Upon their return, President Eisenhower approved adding the wasteland to the Atomic Energy Commission's land holdings, officially marking it as Area 51. Kelly Johnson nicknamed the site Paradise Ranch to encourage workers to relocate to the remote desert outpost. The base provided a total physical vacuum, a place to test experimental aerospace technology, where the only witnesses were those already sworn to secrecy. To maintain the base's anonymity, the military established a private commuter airline known as Janet. These unmarked planes flew daily from a restricted terminal, shuttling thousands of contractors and engineers into the desert in total anonymity. The work at Groom Lake expanded beyond domestic aircraft. The facility became the primary site for foreign material exploitation, a program dedicated to studying technologies secretly acquired from the Soviet Union and its allies. A defecting pilot delivered a Soviet MiG-21 to Israel. Loaned to the U.S., it arrived at Groom Lake as Project Have Donut. Pilots flew mock dogfights against the MiG. By analyzing these flight vectors, the military identified vulnerabilities of the primary North Vietnamese fighter. The hangars at Groom Lake were used for the physical teardown of captured Soviet hardware. Engineers worked to identify structural weaknesses in enemy systems that existed in the present, reverse engineering foreign military tools to ensure American aerial dominance. By the early 1960s, the facility was testing the A-12 Oxcart. This CIA-funded aircraft achieved previously impossible performance metrics, sustaining speeds of over Mach 3 at altitudes exceeding 90,000 feet. Strategy shifted in the 1970s as Soviet radar became more sensitive. The focus of Area 51 moved from extreme speed and altitude to the development of stealth technology, designing aircraft shapes that would scatter or absorb radar waves. This era produced the Northrop Tacit Blue, an experimental demonstrator with a boxy, unusual fuselage. The aircraft was aerodynamically unstable and required a digital fly-by-wire system just to stay in the air. Tacit Blue was the first stealth aircraft to successfully utilize curved surfaces to reduce its radar cross-section. This breakthrough provided the aerodynamic blueprint for the B-2 bomber, proving that stealth did not require the sharp, faceted edges used on earlier prototypes. Because these projects were so heavily compartmentalized, the public occasionally witnessed flight tests of technology decades ahead of known aviation science. These sightings created a gap in public comprehension that was filled by speculation. In the 1950s, high-altitude spy planes often flew above the Earth's shadow after sunset. Their silver fuselages would reflect sunlight while the ground below was dark, making them appear as glowing, fast-moving objects to observers on the ground. The government allowed these reports of flying saucers to proliferate. For the Air Force, public interest in extraterrestrial activity provided a convenient cover story that protected the true purpose of their surveillance aircraft testing. In 1989, this mythology expanded when Bob Lazar appeared on television, claiming he had been hired to reverse engineer alien technology. Lazar claimed the military was hiding 9 extraterrestrial disks at a subterranean site called S4, located just south of the main base. Lazar's central claim focused on a power source he called Element 115. He described a stable, super heavy element that powered a reactor capable of generating its own gravitational field for propulsion. While scientists did successfully synthesize element 115 in 2003, the actual material, moscovium, was found to be highly unstable. Rather than providing a steady fuel source, its isotopes decay in mere milliseconds, making Lazar's described propulsion system physically impossible. Lazar's interview redefined Area 51 for the general public. Following these broadcasts, the base's reputation as an aerospace testing ground was superseded by its image as a repository for extraterrestrial technology. The facility's existence remained unconfirmed until a 2013 Freedom of Information Act request forced the CIA to declassify its historical records. For the first time, the government officially acknowledged the name Area 51. The declassified papers included maps and mission logs for the U-2 and Oxcart programs. While they provided a comprehensive look at the facility's role in global espionage, the documents contained no references to extraterrestrial craft or biological research. The persistence of the alien myth reached its peak in 2019 with the Storm Area 51 internet phenomenon. Thousands of people traveled to the Nevada desert, demonstrating how firmly the public's perception of the base remained tied to Lazar's stories. The 2019 event focused public interest on the possibility of hidden alien technology, even as declassified records documenting the base's actual role in Cold War espionage had been available for years. Beneath the aerospace breakthroughs was a pattern of severe environmental negligence. As the base expanded during the 1980s stealth boom, it produced massive quantities of hazardous waste. Contractors disposed of toxic radar-absorbent materials by burning them in open desert trenches. Workers were exposed to toxic fumes from burning industrial solvents and heavy metals, often without any protective equipment. Many of these employees later developed severe respiratory diseases and cancers. When the survivors and their families attempted to seek compensation for their illnesses, they encountered the same veil of secrecy that protected the aircraft. In court, the government invoked the state secrets privilege to prevent any details about the base's operations from being used as evidence. This legal maneuver resulted in the dismissal of the workers' lawsuits, as the types of materials they were exposed to remained classified. The secrecy protocols that once protected the U-2 and Oxcart were later used to withhold evidence in environmental lawsuits. At Groom Lake, the state secrets privilege outlasted the classified projects it was designed to hide, leaving the human cost of the facility's operations unresolved.